Guys, it's Piers from Team Gun. I'm here with Stephen Lau, who came first in Swiss at YCS Melbourne and top 16 after top cut. So I guess we'll get into the deck profile.
Yep, so I played Going Second Spirals, which was a very, very standard choice. We played the regular one-ofs. Last result would be like the only thing even slightly questionable here, but because it is a brick. But we figured it came up too much in just neat interactions, in being able to send Rescue, Assault, or even Master Plan if you're versing Floodgate Trapple. And you can do the regular AK OTK with Assault, but that's only if they have a monster, so you can pop Assault and they're two monsters. But Last Resort means that you can kill them through the pass wall, through hand trap sometimes, so that's why it came up. And even just like protecting your sleeper in case they have like Ogre and Gamma would be something.
Yeah, I guess equipping Last Resort in the mirror match is not that good for just like protecting it. It's just more
like
for the other
you normally don't
uses.
even like search it first turn doing your regular combo. You'd probably rather just search like a tough or a super agent for next turn, and instead just like use sleeper to pop rescue. That way, like the rescue goes to grave and you can banish it for super agent. But it did come up for like a ton against rogue matchups, which was actually quite popular because it is YCS Melbourne. We also played 3 super agents and 2 tough. So 2 tough, I know we should probably be playing 3 if we want to open it, but it's not just tough that we're concerned about with like the clogging. It was actually just like, we also play Quick Fix and Drone, which are normal summons, and like it come up like that you'd want to play 3 tough against other matchups, but in the mirror, if you were forced into going first and pass wars, which were like the problems we were trying to solve with that with the deck, like you don't want to be clogging on multiple normal summons because like turns would be really crucial in just pushing through. And yeah, that's why we did that. Now we also played the Wang Dofu because it is just really, really amazing, like playing through hand traps or just making borrow loads.
Would you say it's the best card in the deck?
No, next card is best card is this one.
Oh yeah, Exodia, right?
Surely. I played 7 hand traps only. So people will be questioning why I didn't play Gamma. That's what I was questioning after the tournament. So these are like pretty standard. Reaper is something, it's like a bit more controversial because it is like a Melbourne event and you might not be playing that many spirals, but it is like just so important in the mirror match. It just warps it into like people needing to pass just to play around it. And like some people say that it's not going to be that relevant because in the mirror you might just be just killing him in one turn. Like you'd only be pushing when you can do all that damage to just win the game. But it just doesn't always happen. Like it's just correct to like push in a lot of other scenarios, and because of that, like Reaper is always going to be affecting him in that way. Did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I guess if you both have Reaper, then you're just going to be passing, right, until you can kill them.
Oh, yeah,
But if you don't have your own Reaper, then maybe that's when it becomes a bit more questionable to just sit on your hand.
Yeah.
Because,
You guys can't see it in the camera, but Piers is doing like hand gestures and stuff when he's explaining it.
That's just the way I roll.
And Gamma, so we didn't play Gamma because I wanted like a really, really consistent deck with like Desires.
Well, he didn't play Gamma.
Okay, fine. I didn't play Gamma. So, like, that was really, really wrong, I think, because Gamma is just so generically good against, like, just every deck when you go second. I think it's something that definitely warranted a spot, and, like, even despite, like, the brick factor and being able to get droned, like, I think it was fine to play. For spells, we played the regular 6 field spells. So, very, very standard there. We played a couple of key one-offs, and we played Soul Charge. Soul Charge, like, obviously you need setup for it first, but it was just, like, incredibly blowout in testing, like, and so really, really rarely dead. And because of, like, the passwords as well, there'd be a lot of times where you just have Grave set up, and especially, but also, like, those, like, really low resource, like, top deck scenarios and stuff where Soul Charge was just, like, such a bomb card.
It helps you to play through hand traps and stuff as well, and even through boards sometimes, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
like I think it gets like a lot better if I was playing Utility Wire because that way Quick Fix could search for another disruption, but it could still just like set up so much. And like in my build, I was playing like Trigate in my extra deck, so if I drew this and I was supposed to go first, and like you wouldn't even need your combo to like your Helix Resolve to like make a huge board in a lot of scenarios. So
Do you also have comments on Foolish Burial? Because I know a lot of people don't play that card.
oh yeah, that's true. I think this card is just like really amazing. I don't know why people aren't playing it. It just combos of so many of your cards, like any of the super agents, any just like resort, and like getting Master Plan to the graveyard for quick fix is just so important right now. I'm a pass one playing through Reaper. I think this is like one of the most important cards in the deck. Actually, like if you go first with this and a way to get quick fix on board, you should be able to play through like Reaper or even like Ash and be able to still like add Sleeper. I think is really important.
Yeah, I think one of the main scenarios where that becomes dead is really like when you have like nuts cards already, like 1-for-1 or whatever.
Yeah, and in those scenarios, but yeah, there's like way more scenarios where you just want to have like a combo to begin with,
And in those scenarios, you don't care anyway, right?
Yeah, and it's like it's not even just like a regular combo; it's like a really good combo when you can get Master Plan off first. We then ended up playing Goods and Assault. So this card was something we were kind of like pretty shaky on because there were just like lots of issues behind it, but it became so important because of the pass wars and just being able to special Master Plan out of hand. Like you can search it off like resources. Resort in those pass war game states as well, where you like have a lot of resources to like play, but just not being able to play free hand traps, and this like really helps with that.
Yeah, I think you usually want to be summoning Master Plan off this rather than trying to do like the big quick fix combo.
I think
usually,
that's something that a lot of like them, like I want to say like mediocre Spiral players wouldn't be doing. Like they'd be going for like a greedy quick fix combo. But if you can get Master Plan on the field to play around like hand traps, like that's generally more correct.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really. It plays around like pretty much every hand trap in the game, except maybe Troll Knockbird, but people don't play that card that much. So
yeah, that card loses to a lot of other cards and scenarios. And this card, like, obviously you don't want to normally draw it, but because I played so many Tricksers and just other roguey matchups on weekend, like, sometimes you draw it and it just starts netting new cards, which is nice. So the weird part of my deck would just be 3 Desires and 3 Clips. This is something that Avery Foss also played in the American AIG. These cards just seem to like, this card just seemed to like bolster consistency in the deck that was already lacking it a bit. And this card was like really mediocre for the most part in testing, but it was something I found that would just help me do what I wanted the deck to do in like helping me like break boards going first. And if I went, going second, and if I went first, then I could just set this as almost like a D-barrier like replacement. Like obviously it's not as good, but
and I guess that would be the pro over evenly matched, right?
yeah, exactly. So evenly is like a lot more blood going second, but this card being something you can set after getting disrupted was like I found it to be like useful, but I didn't actually draw that often, which I'm very thankful for because of my lack of mirror matches, despite being like at the top tables. Yeah, but if I could play the Tawny again, the last card was also one rescue. If I could play the Tawny again, I think I definitely want to put Gamma just the Gamma engine over Book of Eclipses, and because of that, you'd be playing like more cards that could get potentially conflict with Desire. So I'd maybe put like this 6-card engine over these ones.
I know you specifically didn't play Upstart for this event. Would you like to go into your reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I figured that since a lot of the important kill combos were just exactly AK damage, I didn't want to be ever put like in situations where I'd have to Upstart and then not be able to kill them and risk getting evenly matched. Or I think that was sort of big. And maybe in Australian events with less people having access to Ash, then more people would be playing Droll, and yeah, don't want to get Drolled when you're Upstart. That feels sad.
Unless you have Gamma.
Yep, should have played that. So we'll move on to the extra deck. I played the Coral Dragon Ancient Fairy combo. It didn't come up for the YCS itself, but in a lot of our practice games, like we found that because of like the amount of hand traps running around, like being able to like summon this with like with a resort up, then you can play through like so many hand traps and get way too far in front. And basically, Also played Baguska and Sylvan Princess, just generic Exceeds.
Now, I know your teammates decided to play Tornado Dragon. Why did you decide not to play that card?
Wanted to do a cool combo instead that we'll show later. So there was 2 Double Helix Third never came up, an Ingrisu package, Proxy Ib, Deco, Borrowload, Firewall, and I also played another Firewall and Trigate. And this was because I found a cool combo with just one rescue being able to end with like multiple disruption, including Trigate and a live Firewall. We'll show that in the next video, I think. Yeah, like I figured that this would come up more, like if I was forced into going first and open like the combo cards, or if I opened Soul Charge, then if I just like had like random Reaper targets or Tornado Dragon. And like, I did end up using a Trigate and a second Firewall like in one important game to secure me that win, so I don't really regret playing it.
Did you ever miss Gaia Saber?
Nah, I don't think that card really comes up at all. Like sometimes you might get Reapered for Deco, but those games like are so far and few between. Yeah, like we just felt like this could be important because of like you don't want to just pass on like an averagely like good board and then risk getting like evenly matched and still losing anyway. So moving on to the side deck, we have Utility Wire. We just thought it was like a really good card, but like we'd be picking second in a lot of our game ones, so we didn't think it'd come up as much where you got a quick fix play going as opposed to like Tough and Agent. Along with that, we also had 2 Scoldings and Mind Crush going first. So I actually did end up siding these in a lot of scenarios because like against Trickstar, I found that without Gamma, I just couldn't actually play second against them. Like my build would be a lot weaker in comparison, so I figured just like shotgunning first and like playing some of these cards would be important, or just better. And also in the mirror, like a lot of going second decks nowadays are just forcing you into going first. So like obviously you have to like read the player, and you can judge them by like how they're siding, how many cards they're putting in or not, if they're not smoke screening. But I still think like in a lot of scenarios you can just blind side for first, and you can get away with it because they're just automatically going to put you going first anyway. I ended up doing this in some of my Spiral rounds and came up really nicely because I opened these good cards. We also played these generically good cards against Rogue. So because of Prohibition also being a possible thing at this event, we wanted more outs to it. And obviously these cards are just like amazing against Pendulum as well. Or like even going second in the mirror, like we could potentially put this in, but like it just depended how confident we were that our opponent wasn't mind game tricking us in the side. We also have the 3 Chaos Hunters. So this card is actually, it's incredibly blowout against Trickstar if it works, but we found it to be like quite mediocre in the end because so many Trickstar players could play around it. However, like this was also an overlapping side card we could put against ABC and Lightsworn, so I found it was just it was a good idea to like have it in there to cover more matchups.
Could you explain how the Trickstar players can play around it?
Yep. So there are a couple ways which we like some of the ways we knew beforehand, but we were like, oh, most Trickstar players like wouldn't be playing around it anyway. But of course, like you should be just beating those kind of players anyway, right? So they can use their Candina to search and then chain Licorice from hand, like off searching it off like the field spell. Or they could just not Licorice during or like on their own turn and do it on your turn. Instead. So then if you chain Chaos Hunter, they could reincarnate your hand away, and this wouldn't work. I think that's about it for how they could do it. So yeah, that's the end of the deck profile, guys.
Did you have any shoutouts?
Yeah. So shoutouts to like the Team Gund, of course. All like the Interstate friends, the Finlay official fan club, just everybody in there who's always like supporting me and like willing to play. Pierce Sinclair in particular right now. He's just always helping me theory and like practice, so it's really nice. Hayden Matthews as well, love that guy.
Cool, thanks Stephen. Congrats on your top.